Hey, welcome to Creative Vitality Jam Sessions. Here we have intimate conversations with extraordinary dance and theater artists about reimagining creativity and supporting and building community. CVJS and I walk in solidarity and as allies for equality, justice, and respect. Black Lives Matter, and please get out there and vote. I'm Helen Pickett, and today's guest is Devon Carney, the artistic director of Kansas City Ballet. Devon and I first met in 2008. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great, Devon. It's so good to see you here. I'm so happy this worked now for many reasons, but I think it's a perfect time. But before I get into that, how are you?
Good. Full of sort of anticipation and excitement about the world waking up again slowly but surely, you know, in our dance group. So
That's right. What part of the world are you in?
Kansas City, Missouri right now. That's where I am.
Kansas City, Missouri, right on. And so this is actually going into the first question. So I'd like to start with the fact, talk about new and exciting, openings. You are today on your first day back. It's so exciting. It's so uplifting and hopeful. What are you rehearsing, and what is in the near future for Kansas City Ballet?
Sure. Well, exciting is an understatement. It's been literally to the day 6 months since our company last was together in a studio working. We've been doing 4 weeks of rehearsal of preseason classes because anyone who's a dancer understands that getting back into shape after that long of a break with only doing Zoom classes is pretty tough road. So we extended our preseason classes to get people going. And it's incredible to see the journey that has happened over the last 4 weeks. But today is indeed our first day of work, real actual work. So we're all going to be super, super excited about how it's going to go. We're preparing for, one of the things with the dance world, sadly, is that theaters are closed, right? If anybody knows this, I know you know that, Helen. And nutcrackers have pretty much across the country been canceled. So it's devastating to the ballet world, especially in America, that depends on nutcrackers so much for the income, the revenue that then can cover our more contemporary works that don't have as high of an audience participation. So we're not doing Nutcracker, long story short, but we are doing what we're calling, for lack of a better word, the holiday show. and we thankfully have a theater in our rehearsal space, which I know you've seen, and it is a spectacular space. It's about 200 seats that can convert from a rehearsal studio directly into a performance space. So it's where we will do these performances, and we'll do 17 performances of this holiday show. So it'll be kind of like a variety show. It's just the theme is holidays. That's it. So that's what we're getting ready for. In the meantime, we're going to be working on some other projects that are going to be infused into that process while we're doing that. One of which is working with you, Helen, on a project which we'll talk about later, and I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to talk more about that. But that's what's happening right now. And I was just talking to a few of the dancers yesterday. They are just so psyched and ready to do it.
I'm sure. I like the idea of a holiday show, and the variety show, isn't it amazing? Harkening way back, for our times. But the thing is, it seems perfect right now because we're all so, used to these short snippets, and we all have fatigue from the longer Zoom calls. But I think it's a great idea, and I think it's a great idea uh, to offer right now, because it's still getting in the theater and it's still seeing a plethora of what you have to offer as the Kansas City Ballet. So I think it's a great idea. And I'm just, you know what? You're doing shows. That's the bottom line. Yeah.
That's the bottom line. We're
Yeah.
actually going to do something which, I'll just add a little comment. A lot of companies are not in this country. And everybody's had to make very, very difficult decisions about ways to keep the doors open and the lights turned on, down to that basic, and it's tough decisions all around the country when it comes to keeping us going. And I'm really thrilled that we actually are able to start now as opposed to January.
Yeah, yeah. So exciting. So so now I'm going to get into your career a bit. After your remarkable 21-year professional dance career, you devoted yourself in so many ways to this art form. As a ballet master for Boston Ballet from 1998 to 2003, artistic director of the Boston Ballet Summer Program, a judge in several dance competitions, a prolific choreographer for both ballet and opera, the associate artistic director for Cincinnati Ballet from 2003 to 2013, and now, of course, as the artistic director of Kansas City Ballet since 2013. You have a uniquely well-rounded perspective in this art for this art form within this art form. So like as an anthropologist and as an ethnographer, you're dropped in and you also have been watching, for all of these in so many ways. So what attributes stand out from your comprehensive career as far as the positive, as far as the coaching, the guiding, the leading people? And then what have you found does not need to be a part of leadership? And I feel like with your perspective, you are there and able to offer this, which I think is so interesting for people to hear about.
Yeah. That's a great question in many ways. Thank you for asking that. Well, I think that I am grateful for the chance that I have had to have a kind of a variety of experiences along the way. And even as a dancer, I had a variety of experiences. Even though I stayed in one place, I was with Boston Ballet my whole 20-year career, from second company kid to principal dancer for the last 12 of those years. I had this rare opportunity because a lot of dancers don't stay in one place very long. They company hop maybe 4 or 5 years in each company. And I got that unique perspective, as you mentioned, to be able to watch the company go from one type of company to another type of company to another type of company. And was with them, Boston Ballet, for all the directors that have ever directed them, including Mikko Nissinen, who's currently the director. But it started out as this balancing company, and I was like, my eyes were wide open. I came from a strict Cicchetti training, and I went to Boston Ballet and saw 4 temperaments and thought my world just kind of flipped upside down. And it was the coolest thing, to see that radically different way of looking at dance. And then to see it morph into this kind of, under Bruce Marks's direction, that was Virginia Williams, and then Violette Verdi. And then to see it under Bruce Marks's direction, it became more of kind of an American amalgamation, if you want to say, with a very big influence on the Russian, the big warhorse ballets. A lot more of those came into Boston Ballet during that time. And I was like, whoa, I haven't done so many full-length ballets. It's awesome. And at that time I was a principal, so I was really having a great time, right? And then from there, Anna Marie Holmes took over after Bruce Marks, and it kind of sustained that, but we did a few more of the War Horses. And then under Miko, it started to come back toward an American, more clear American specific sort of style with a Balanchine thrust in there. And it was just fascinating to watch the company go through these ebbs and flows. And the same thing holds true by going to Cincinnati Ballet and then coming to Kansas City Ballet. And for me, I just appreciated all those different experiences. And I love to travel, so I traveled a lot, you know, and you see the world. And I think that as a director, it's important to understand that there are many viewpoints, and that they all are valid and important to recognize and appreciate. And I think that that, as a director in leadership, that is something that I highly have as a guide for me, is that all points are valid. And, you know, when it comes to coaching and guiding people, you know, as a coach, I think that having all those experiences made a radically different type of person for me than if I had just stayed in one style my whole life. And you know, the same approach I just mentioned about, you know, all viewpoints are valid. The same thing holds true with a dancer when you're coaching a dancer. We're all different. We're all human beings. We all have a unique perspective on our lives, and we all have a different and unique perspective on what we want out of our careers as dancers. And if there were one thing I have to say as a dancer that I kept telling myself, you can't forget this, Devon, if you ever get to being a director, because I wanted to do that when I was a dancer. I knew that I was hoping for that someday. And that is that every dancer is important, every artist is unique, and you have to celebrate those unique differences in every aspect of your company, whether it be just simply the beautiful variety of individuals that are in our world, or it be the kind of way that a person moves. Because I think that that's where the genuineness of the art form can come out, is through that celebration of the differences. And what not, I think that domineering sort of like, I know better than you kind of thing, that, you know, I've had that in my past. And, you know, the whole aspect of, you know, please don't speak, just dance, you know. All those things really struck me as a dancer, you know. I worked with a lot of different choreographers, and they all, I'm grateful that I was able to hang on to those lessons. Does that make sense? To be able to go, that's something I really want to do when I'm a director, or even as a ballet master, and that's something I definitely want to stay away from. I think that's, if there was something I could say to your listeners, and, you know, I love your show, by the way. I didn't get to say that earlier. It's been really so connective for me as an artist, as a director, as a choreographer, as a human being, you know, to learn more about my community. And I have through your show. So I want to applaud you right here and now for that, because it is spectacular what you have done, and how you've literally reinvented yourself. And gosh, it's just cool. It's really cool.
I just saw I take your words so to heart. Thank you so much. Just a funny aside, I just saw a Saturday Night Live skit about artists trying to reinvent themselves at this time. And I had such a laugh about it, because I was like, we're all doing it. We're all
Right. Totally.
Hey, you know what? Whatever works. That's what I, you know. So that was really the answers were fantastic, because you know, you are a person, are a human being who is a director that also promotes community and promotes you know, we are better together situation. And I think it's because you and I, we both had, and there's, it's still out there, the other kind of leadership as well, which we all know shuts someone down,
Right.
but I think there are more and more people out there with this mindset, with this openness to say, hey, the individuality of the human being is going to, all of, like you said, the variety is going to make the company stand up and stand out more. Because that is connection, right? We are connecting
Yeah.
each other to the differences in each other and the similarities, So
Sure.
yeah, beautiful. Thank you for that answer. So you had, as I said before, I didn't use this word, so I will now, a stellar professional dancing career. And like you said, as a principal for 12 years with the Boston Ballet. And you also had a big touring life. And you danced with people like Nureyev and Bahonis and Gregory. Can you share a standout memory or a few standout memories from that time? And because the touring life alone you led was also like remarkable.
Yeah. It was a beautiful time in my life to get on the road. It's funny. I will say, when it comes to touring, and I think again, this is something I would hope that your listeners who are artists, who are dancers, or ballet staff members, anybody who gets out on the road, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love the variety of life that you have a chance to see every day. When you're doing, a bus and truck tour through all, like, I can't count the number of cities in Italy I performed in. And the architecture, the people, the different types of, simply down to the different type of pizza that's made in different regions of the country. Touring is just, and it's hard because touring doesn't happen as much anymore. It's not the common thing anymore. But boy, if you get a chance to tour, even if it's just a week, to go somewhere, carpe diem. I mean, grab every minute you can. I would get up early. My wife and we would get up early. This was the only chance we had to be in Florence. We had half a day off, right? I'm just making this up, but this is like the common thing. Half a day off. Man, okay, we did a show with Rudy the night before. And, in Italy, you dance pretty late, right? They don't even start thinking of performing till 10 o'clock at night. Right? and it's just crazy. I will share a little bit about my time with Rudy. He was amazing. But, you're tired and you're going to have to do it. You got a bus call at 3 p.m. the next day to get to the next city, right? So you have a choice to make. Sleep in, just snooze until 11 or whatever, get your cappuccino and a pastry and sit in the square for an hour or two and then get the bus, or get the heck up super early, get on a train, go somewhere, see some beautiful sights, see some incredible cathedrals, see the statue of David, see the Pitti Palace, see, oh my goodness, the stuff that you get a chance to see when you're on the road. And oh, by the way, you're getting paid.
No. To do what you love.
Say that again?
To do what you love.
Yes. Yeah. You're getting paid to do what you love and take advantage of that time and enjoy it. So touring for me was ecstatic. I just loved every minute of it. Yeah, I was tired. Right. I was young. Even now, yes, I'm tired, but I want to go see something, So touring, you have to manage yourself. You have to manage your body. You have to fuel yourself. That's the thing about touring, if I could say to anybody, is, be sure you find the restaurant, because you really are living the life of a person of the country. You're not really a tourist. you got to find a place to eat, and you got to make sure that it's going to be open late enough after the show. That's a tough one, and I know you've toured a lot too. It's tough to find a restaurant that's open at 12, 1 a.m., whatever. So make sure you're fueling yourself, find the grocery store. These are parts of just life. So that's something about touring that's important. That's the first thing. You hit the ground. Where's the grocery store? Where's the restaurants, and what time are they open till or open at? As for, working with these incredible legends in the past, sadly they are all in the past. Well, Cynthia is still alive, and I'm grateful she's still alive and doing incredible with her coaching. But working with Nureyev was, it was a once in a lifetime experience, and it's just like touring, and it's just like people. It all ties into who I am, the celebration of the differences we have. Touring with Rudy was an incredible experience because I looked at it as this is a once in a life opportunity to grab incredible information from somebody who's had and is still having a great career. And I took it that way. I didn't take it like, oh, he's so hard to work with, and people say all sorts of horrible things about his temperament, right? But for me, working with Rudy was incredible. And he knew I respected him. He knew I appreciated him. And I was like his shadow in rehearsals. I would stand behind him and do the variations. And sometimes he would turn around with his finger and, he'd be like, Devon, please, not now. And he would just like tell me, please stop. Let me just focus. I'm 44 years old. Do you mind? But, he would coach me and, teach me stuff and, how to do technical stuff, but it was a good situation. And we got to see so much of the world dancing with Rudy. We went America, all of America, Mexico, Italy, France, Italy and France with him. And it was incredible. And I'll say that one of the incredible experiences of working with a legend like that is how, when you are at that level of stardom, and it was frenetic, the stardom level that he had, it really keeps you kind of grounded when you see that kind of, he was just like way out there when it comes to the fan base. Getting through, leaving a performance with him was a difficult undertaking because of the crush of the crowds at the stage door. And I've never in my life seen anything like that. It was 20, 30 people deep of a crowd around the stage door. And you just want to go find that restaurant that's only open for another 20 minutes, You're like, excuse me, you got your dance bag. You're like, pardon me, thank you so much. And Cynthia and Fernando are both individuals I knew since a kid. I had known them since they used to guest artist at my school/company in New Orleans. So that was a very different experience because it was somebody I had known as a teenager, and to be able to have the chance to grow up in the business and eventually be able to do these incredible tours with both of them. There was a Fernando and Stars tour I did and a Cynthia and Stars tour we did. They were both really wonderful sort of full circle experiences to have been able to know them and seen them, like, wow, I could never possibly be somebody like that. And then to find myself, on the road with them and realize they're human beings. They're people. They're real people. And that's, I think, again, the diversity of experiences I've had is that people are people. Yeah. When you strip away all the stuff that maybe the accolades and all that, they're people. Yeah. And, everybody deserves to be treated with respect and dignity. And for me, that's one of the things working with Cynthia and Fernando that was so wonderful to have had many years of experiences with them. And even to this day, you know, Cynthia came and coached our swans in Swan Lake when I first did it here in 2015. So 2016, which was a really cool experience to have her do that.
Extraordinary. Thank you.
Yeah.
As a choreographer, you experience this art form in such a different way than as the other title that you have, or the title, artistic director. What are the differences in the studio as far as responsibilities between being the choreographer and being the director? What are the freedoms? And are there different ways of working? So, because you still choreograph now for a company where you have an artistic director position, but you also choreographed, well, you had associate artistic director. I don't know.
Well, I would say I have had a few opportunities to choreograph outside of my company that I'm actually working with.
Yeah.
So, you know, in those instances, I think that it's funny, Helen. It's a really interesting question, which you made me really think a lot about. Being it's kind of like the difference between being a ballet dancer and being a ballet master. A ballet dancer there's a lot that a ballet artist has to think about in their performing career, but there's only one person they really got to focus on, and that's themselves. And, you know, when you're a ballet master, all of a sudden you turn your back to the mirror, and now you have 30 to 50 people to think about, right? And if that makes sense, it's kind of the same thing when it comes to choreographing as opposed to directing, because when you're choreographing, you're thinking about one thing. And I know you know a lot about this. You know, you're thinking about the product, the artistic product, and the artists that you have in the room with you. And how are we as a group going to make this work and find the best possible experience when we get done with this? And as a director, I'm thinking about, well, you know, say 3 or 4 choreographers in one production, as well as all the company members, as well as all the other productions we're doing in the year, as well as the overall health of the entire organization. And it's, you know, it's the life of a choreographer is very challenging and very intense. And it's much more focused on that product. And you know, the other part of it is that I've choreographed for opera a lot. I don't know how that worked out, but I kind of enjoyed that opportunity to go into a completely different arts world and to discover what those kind of artists are like. And to be just a choreographer was a very freeing experience, because that's all I had to do was create the work that would make those particular dancers look their best, and also make that production of that opera its best, and respect the artists, the opera artists, and the supernumeraries and all that, as well as the director, as well as the costume designer and the music director. There's all sorts of people in the opera world. It's very different than the ballet world. But I appreciate that. And it was a blast to be just a part of the bigger show and not have to be that one in charge of the entire show, you know? And I've only had one experience where I actually worked with completely set of different dancers in a completely different company. And that was a very unique experience as well, which is one that you have practically all the time. And that was even more interesting because of the very sort of isolated, you know, it was like you were in this beautiful little world, just you and your dancers. Let's make this work, you know, and I loved that. I thought that was really interesting. And if you were to ask me, which do I prefer, I can't really tell you, I think they're all fabulous experiences, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like I would actually not ask that because you're right. It's you get to, again, you get to see things and experience things from so many different angles. And I do have to say, one of my great joys is returning to companies because I do like creating family and community.
Yeah.
So I love the new company, but for me, that is like 10, that's a huge job because I have to get to know everybody.
Right.
I have to get to know the personality, see where the coaching has happened. But when I get to return, it's a bit more of that family thing. And even though there's always new dancers, which is wonderful, it's not a whole league of new dancers.
Yeah.
So I too enjoy both, and I wouldn't say I prefer one over the other.
Yeah.
They're different animals.
You're, you know, this project, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, it's been really exciting to talk with you about it and you be able to say names in our company and like, oh, this person and and this other person would be just right for this more interesting sort of, you know, contortionist type of movement, la 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 la. As opposed to our conversations for the first production you did for us, which was your gorgeous pedal. I just cannot say enough about that ballet. It's just the moment that curtain goes up, Helen, on pedal, and I know you probably experienced this. I never expected it when that curtain went up for the first time we did it. The gasp that the audience made, it was just like, and it was just color.
Yeah.
That's all it was color, you know, and the audience went, oh, and then they just started applauding. It was awesome. It's such
Talk about a learning experience. I learned so much about stagecraft with that. Learned so much about simplicity of what make or break.
Simplicity.
You know, and it's color, man. That it was mind blowing. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
You did a nice segue into our next question, which is we will embark in a new work together for this premiere. How will this premiere take shape?
Wow. This is like, you know, one of those pinch me, is this real experiences for me. I know for you as well. You know, okay, so this is the world we're living in right now and have been since March. It's called virtual. And it's, you know, the dance world has kind of been sort of slowly kicking and screaming into it. But the reality is that virtual has been for at least, I'd say maybe 3-4 months or so, that, you know, creators out there like yourself with your home studies series, which is a spectacular series, which I hope everybody here can, you know, go on YouTube and look up Helen Pickett Home Studies. There's some incredible videos that you've created with beautiful artists, some of which I know from Boston Ballet. So, you know, here we are now in this world where we have to create things. You know, we're creators, right? We're creators. Doggone it, we want to create. We have to. It's our life.
Yeah.
It's our lifeblood. It's the air we breathe.
Yeah.
And as a choreographer, you know, to not be able to choreograph it's just unfathomable to be told, sorry, you have to stop doing that now. And I have no idea when you're going to be allowed to do it again. So leave it to the artistic creative world to say, no, we're going to figure a way out. We're going to figure this out. Okay, you handed us lemons. We're going to make some iced tea, you know, and that's what you have done with your home studies series. And I know there are other choreographers out there who I've had relations with here at Kansas City Ballet that are doing likewise. So PBS, our channel here, our public television station here, contacted us about doing a documentary on the state of what's going on in the ballet world here in Kansas City. simultaneously, you and I were in conversation about, hey, maybe we could do something. That home study series was awesome. How about maybe we could figure something out? I didn't really have a photographer that I felt, cinematographer that would work for the high expectation level you have for artistry in your work. So that's where I was. One day later, PBS contacts me, and it's like the stars aligned, the planets all came into one spot, and it's just incredible. I said, well, here's what's going on in the dance world, and that is that choreographers are trying new and different ways to still be creative, in spite of the fact that we can't get into theaters and perform for large numbers of people. And they just loved the idea. So of pairing, you with them with Kansas City Ballet and demonstrating this is how the dance world is doing it these days. So yeah, you're going to be doing, these 3 unique independent works that have a overarching theme, which maybe you want to talk about. And it will be put into, a documentary of 30 minutes that will incorporate interviews with us and with dancers, and in the middle of all that, is the jewel, which is these beautiful works, which I cannot wait to see what they're going to look like, because today actually is your first rehearsal, by the way. I'm sure you got that schedule. And we're going to get a chance to see you create a new series, which I know the dancers are thrilled. They all know, they've all been told, and they were all beyond the moon when they heard that you were going to create on them. So it will air on PBS, and it's a potential to get picked up both regionally and nationally. The last work that they did for us, PBS did do another program for us a couple years back for a ballet we created, and they just followed us along. And that production, the same cinematographer and editor and channel, won an Emmy for that, and it's been shown all over the country, from all LA, Miami, Houston, Seattle, New York, Chicago, everywhere in between, and in Japan, and on intercontinental flights of American Airlines. So I think we have a good track record of the folks who are going to be recording what you're going to create. So I'm really excited about it, and we're going to use a portion of it for our virtual ball, which is really exciting to be able to highlight your work for our patrons, which I think is really great at this time. Yeah, so it's quite an exciting thing that has just come up in the last week or two, that just adds a little bit more excitement to our first day of work and moving forward. So I want to say thank you to you for your desire to want to do something with us, and I know the dancers are all screaming from the top of their ballet bars, thank you, so
Thank you too. I mean, it goes both ways, right?
yeah, sure. Yeah, it does. You're right.
That's the flow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm thrilled. I do have a title, but I think I'm going to save that for
Later.
I think that, yeah, I think that's appropriate. So let's see. So the questions I ask every guest. Do you have you've been giving us a lot of insights and inspiration, but do you have a daily insight or inspiration that you can share about living a creative life?
A daily insight. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a daily insight. Well, especially during this time right now, I'm living my life right now on a pretty much be positive, stay positive, appreciate what we have, because you know, if you focus too much on all this stuff you don't have and all the things that are going wrong, life's just not as fun, you know, and it's especially now for dancers and artists and creators, you know, just hanging on to the good can really go a long way. It does for me. It has for me. And that's what I can say. Just hang on to the positive, you know, and love life because it's the life you got, you know. So love it.
That's
And
right. Because
and
we
love
are alive.
yeah, and love the relationships. You know, I really appreciate the relationship that I have with you, even if it's far away.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate the relationships that you have, you know, with the guests that you've had on your show. I've actually made new friends thanks to your show. You know, I go online, I look on Facebook or Instagram, and I find out, hey, hi, I saw you on the show, you know. So, you know, the community you are building, you know, is a great example of that, keeping positive attitude. And it's helping a lot of people. It really is. So I appreciate it. I really do.
Thank you so much. One wonderful little relationship came through the show actually with Gracie, who, you know, for the last, gosh, since, well, we met in January because, you know, I said a piece on UArts that they didn't get to do, but, you know, got to take someone under my wing, if you will, because I really do feel sorry for the young ones that are about to embark, you know, and you know, I feel like exactly like you said, like this show is about, look at all these people who are doing their art,
Yeah.
you know, and that was the basis of the show. So, you know, so happy it hit you that way, because that was the you know, the connecting quality. So thank you so much, Devon. Um, so in supporting and building a more equitable dance community, what do you believe? It's a big question. I need to change this. I say it every time because
No.
I need to. But what do you believe needs to be shifted or changed? What is, you know, in this moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think looking to the future is a part of shifting and changing, and stop looking at the past and really recognize the past and go, okay, that was awesome, sort of, but there are things that need to change. And I think looking to the future and being proactive about creating change. And you know, it starts with just being more open-minded and being more receptive to different forms of movement, for starters, different forms, different individuals. Again, this goes back to it's my mantra is, you know, celebrate the differences. And you know, I try to make that clear to the artists of the company that we're not trying to be all in this one little box, you know. We're not trying to do that. Every person has a different shape, and it's a unique artistic shape, and we want to celebrate that. And for me, that's a critical element of change, is recognizing that there are differences and celebrating those differences, and also um, insisting upon that from everybody who's in the organization.
Yeah.
You know, because it comes from the top down. It really does. And you know, we're you know, when it comes to just reaching more of our community, you know, we do this great program called Reach Out and Dance, which goes into our school systems. It's something that I have put a huge B12 shot into in the last 3 years, where we offer dance to third graders. Right now, this year, there's 26 schools that are involved. We're involved. This year it's virtual right now, so sadly it's not in person. But yeah, we go in all these schools, and we give dance to these kids, you know, once a week for the entire fall semester. And then from that, we invite about 3 or 4 kids from each third grade class, and they join us in Kansas City Ballet at our studios, and they have dance classes every week for the winter, the other half of their school year. And they're bussed in, and it's a program that I geared based off of my experiences at Boston Ballet, where they were doing the same thing. And I think I learned a lot from that, and I value that, and I celebrated that every time the buses pulled up to the front of our building, and all these kids from all these neighborhoods just flow into the building. And that's what we do. And what's cool is, that they have a scholarship program, and if they do well in that year, then we offer them scholarships. So they get to be in then they're incorporated directly into our school, and they get 2 years of scholarships, full scholarships, to find out if it's really something they enjoy doing, and then they can be considered for scholarships in the future after that. And we had the first year we had like 3 kids were in our Nutcracker. The next year there were 9. The next year there were 19. And these are kids from all different backgrounds, and the diversity is just it's gorgeous, and I just love it. And that's where it starts for me. It starts at the beginning, when that early age. And of course, about International Association for Blacks in Dance. I know you've had guests that work with that organization. I celebrate that organization highly, and love what they're doing out there to promote Blacks in Dance. And I think it's really something to applaud their efforts, and I support them highly. And we do auditions with them every year. I've been going to their auditions for 6 years, since they started doing these beautiful auditions for artists of color. And I participate in that audition every year, and I've had dancers come into our second company from that group, from that audition, almost every year. And it's a wide variety of different avenues for creating equity across the boards in our organization. And it comes also in supporting those dancers of color who are in our organization already, which I love our dancers, every one of them, and they know I appreciate them. And I'm there for them and support them, and will stand side by side with them in support of everything that they hope for in their lives. And equity I believe it, unfortunately, is a lifelong pursuit. I don't think it's something that's going to overnight we're going to have full equity, and that's the important part of this, is that pursuing it and maintaining it and keeping an eye on it on a daily basis, and not saying, oh great, we've arrived, sit back and go,
Right.
there.
Very good point. I believe that too.
Yeah.
It's a daily, and it's a forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 Wow. Oh my gosh, Devon, thank you. This has been such an inspirational chat. And, just to know you, I've said this to other people. I actually said it to Gracie too, that, the love, and I use the word a lot, but the love that you have for this art form, the devotion, your very being breathes and lives and truly wants the best. You love this profession, and you love all the beings that are in it, and it is palpable, Devon, to be around you and to see what you've done with Kansas City Ballet. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's been my pleasure to work there with you a couple of times, and very much looking forward to this new iteration and that support and that art that we're going to make together in this new iteration. So thank you so much. so inspirational, so giving, so generous, such a generous person. So now, what are the ways that people can find out more about you and this company? We have the company website, which is
kcballet.org. Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
straightforward. And what are you on Instagram? What other?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram on Carney Devon on Instagram, and just Devon Carney on Facebook. So there's plenty of ways to reach out if anybody wants to chat with me. And of course, like I said, there's our website. You can find out everything about Kansas City Ballet there.
Great. So I want to remind everybody that underneath this video, which you will see later today, there is a description box with a short bio from Devon. And again, you can go to Kansas City Ballet website to find out more about Devon. And CVJS has 2 guests every week, 2 new guests. And our next guest will be a first soloist from Ballet West, Katlyn Addison. Now is my thank you portion. I want to thank you, Devon, again. I want to thank Gracie, who always, does the behind the scenes work and gets everything up and ready for the website. Thank you, Gracie, for everything you do. And thank you to this amazing dance world that we get to be a part of. I mean, such a privilege and such a source of strength and positivity and love. And we are the luckiest people in the world. So one more time, and thank you, Devon.
Thank you.
Let's keep reimagining creativity. And until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye.